What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be making a bit of a discussion video, kind of giving, I don't know, maybe my thoughts on how you get the Necromancy gear and upgrades for Necromancy. This is obviously just going to be like my opinion, so if you disagree or something, put it in the comments below and, you know, maybe say what you think about this, because I want to know what other people think. But I have seen other people kind of talking about the same thing that I'm going to be talking about in this video, and that's just going to be that this stuff is way too easy to get for how strong it is. And I've seen people saying, you know, Necromancy is like super OP and all that stuff. And although Necromancy is really strong, I don't think it should be nerfed or anything like that. But there are things that I think probably should change with Necromancy that wouldn't be like direct power decreases or anything stupid like that. But I think there are things that should be changed to, you know, because it would be better for the game. So let's get right into it. So you can see here, I'm going to go to the smithy. So once it loads, so if we go over here to the forge, we can see how much supplies it takes to upgrade the gear. And I'm not going to talk about anything from tier, 20 to 60. I don't think that matters at all. Like, it doesn't, who cares? But I'm mainly going to be talking about the tier 70, 80, and 90 sets, both tank and power. So if we go over here to the tier 70 set, you can see it basically costs nothing to upgrade your gear from tier 60 to tier 70. Like, 4 ensouled bars is literally like worthless. It's not worth anything at all. And same thing with the bone runes, like they're not worth anything. And same thing with the power armor, or I mean, this is the same thing. Same thing with the tier 80 set. Like 3 greater ensouled bars literally like doesn't cost anything at all. Same thing with the runes, and then same thing with the tier 90 set. It costs, I mean, a little bit more runes, but again, 50 runes is essentially like nothing. Same thing with the ensouled bars. And if we do that with the gear as well, the gear is a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same thing, like 2 cloth, 2 thread. It literally costs nothing. And then if we go all the way to the tier 90, you can see 2 cloth, 2 thread. I mean, it literally costs nothing to make this gear. The only thing that does cost anything kind of is the tier 90 armor, or tier 90 power armor, I mean, the death dealer set. It costs the hermetic plates, but even this, like 3 plates is pretty like low as far as the cost is concerned. And I mean, again, like the rest of the stuff is literally worth nothing. And I think this is a huge problem for the game, because what it ended up doing with the game is making Necromancy the only viable option when playing the game. And there's nothing that they could do to change that without, I guess, like nerfing Necromancy, which I don't think is a good idea, or making like the other styles like stupidly easy to unlock, which I think is also a bad idea. So I think the only viable solution is to increase the cost it takes to make that gear. Like, instead of taking 3 ensouled bars, it should take like 50. Instead of taking like, 20 runes or whatever it was, it should take like 1,000. And the reason I say this is because, again, it destroys all of the progression in the game. So if we go over here to my bank, we can look at the armor and like my gear tab or whatever. Got some stuff in here. Doesn't have everything, but if we look at what is comparable to Necromancy, you have, I mean, these are tier 92s, but you have Praisal Wand and Orb, which is an extremely rare drop from AOD, or same thing with Virago with the Seismics. We have Tectonic, which comes from Virago. We have Crypt Bloom, which is a pretty rare drop and takes a long time to get the whole set from Krasis. Same thing with range, same thing with melee, and then you also have upgraded abilities. And Necromancy has Death Dealer and Death Warden, which is free to make and takes really no time at all. And I don't know, it just completely destroys all of the progression of the game, in my opinion. Like, and I don't even think it's just my opinion, like, because that's what it does. Like, if you were to make an Iron Man account, there is no reason to do anything other than rush Necromancy at this point, because it's not just that it's stronger, but it just takes nothing to get. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just kind of come over here to this forge, and do these like simple challenges, which brings me up, or brings me to the simple challenges. If I bring this window up here, you can see this is the page that shows the challenges to get the power and tank armor for each set. And in order to get the tier 90 weapons, all you have to do, as you can see here with this green one, is kill some God Wars Dungeon 2 bosses, and then kill a Jad, and that's it. And it's so incredibly easy to get the tier 90 weapons that, again, I think it kind of destroys any progression factor in the game. And I don't know, it just seems really stupid that it's designed like this. And same thing goes for all of these other, ones, like even the power armor, although I will say the power armor for tier 90, I guess, requires you to do something, but even still, it only requires you to do a Raxor, which is very, very easy. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like this needs to change because it's really bad for the game. Here's how I would probably do it. If we hide this, if we go back to the game here and we look at the Beast tab, what I would probably do for these challenges is have, instead of like having to do the challenges, well, I guess the challenges, they're all right, but I would say instead of having to go over here to do the, to like make the gear with essentially like nothing, like this costs like nothing, I would probably have it where you break down the, I'd probably have it where you break down the bosses into tier 70, tier 80, and tier 90 bosses. And it would be, something like, God Wars Dungeon 1 would be a tier 70 boss. King Black Dragon would be like a tier 70 boss. And what would happen is you would kill those bosses. It doesn't matter with, what combat style or anything like that. But you would get like fragments or something from those bosses that you would then turn into the weapons and armor. And it would require, however many fragments. It would probably take you maybe a couple hours to get the amount required. Just so it's not like an instant upgrade you get for basically no cost, because yeah, that's just dumb. But yeah, I would say the tier 80 set could be something like, God Wars Dungeon 2, Queen Black Dragon maybe, stuff like that, like pretty simple bosses. And then the tier 90 bosses would be like, I don't know about raids, but they'd be like, maybe Virago, maybe a Raxor, although I think a Raxor could honestly be a tier 80 boss. It's very easy. But like the Ambassador could be a tier 90 boss, all of the Elite Dungeons could be tier 90 bosses, and something like that. And that's how I would do the, part of the cost. So even if you don't want it to cost a lot of money to make these things, I think it should take, a lot of time. And vice versa, if they don't think that's a good idea, I think it should cost a lot more of these supplies to make this gear. Like it should take a lot more than, the basic nothing that it costs now. Because yeah, I just think it's a really horrible design and it makes no sense. And I just don't know why they did it like this. It just seems really stupid. But yeah, so that kind of goes over the cost of making the gear and also the process of making the gear. I don't really know if the challenges need to be changed or anything like that. The challenges might be fine, but maybe the challenges could be made a little bit harder. Although I do think the idea of getting those, gear fragments or whatever would kind of replace the challenges. And now I'm going to go on to the second part of this video, which is going to be the incantations and the way that you unlock the incantations. So if we go over here to the Well of Souls and this little pedestal thing, we can see here that you get all of these incantations for basically nothing. Like you're gonna probably be doing some rituals anyway to be getting all this stuff. And although some incantations I think are fine to get for free, like obviously like the Ghost and like maybe the Bone Shield stuff and like Life Transfer I think is good to have for free. Invoke Death is probably good to get for free. I think certain other incantations you should probably not get for free like this because they're really strong. So the first one is Split Soul. If you guys have seen my Raksha pool skip, that low effort thing I made, that's only possible because of Split Soul. And the fact that you get this for free is absurd. And it just, like, you probably shouldn't be able to do something like a low effort Raksha pool skip for free because you get these like incantations. It just doesn't make sense. Same thing with Threads of Fate. I think this ability is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact you get it for free is crazy. It just, I don't know. it doesn't seem right that you get something like that for free, or something like Split Soul for free. You know, other things maybe you could put in there, but I think these two are the biggest problems. And how I would have done this is, and how I would honestly do it at this point, would be retroactively locking these things and just, you know, making it so they're locked. And then going over to a boss that makes sense to have a codex and put it on there. So I think for Split Soul, something like Terraket, where is Terraket here? Terraket, like this boss would be a perfect thing to drop the Split Soul incantation. I think it thematically fits with the dungeon. He's a necromancer. Like, it just makes sense to put it on this drop, or on this boss, I would think. And, you know, currently it doesn't even have a drop, and this is one of the more annoying bosses in the game, if you ask me. But, yeah, I don't know. It just seems really odd that you get these ridiculously powerful incantations for free. Like, you literally do nothing to get them. You just do a few AFK rituals over here. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right that, like, you get these things for basically nothing. And, yeah, I think retroactively locking these things and making people go and get a codex or buy a codex or something would be really good for the game, because, again, like I said, it's not so much that necromancy is too powerful, but I think the problem with necromancy is that it's way too easy to get to the, like, top tiers of power. And, yeah, I don't know. It's just really dumb. One other thing about these rituals is if we go over to the pedestal and we look at the communion rituals, it takes 1 bone to do these rituals. I mean, these are like free to do, basically. You could just sit here and spam dinosaur bones or even the powerful memento things. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like a better way to do these rituals would have been each tier of bone or whatever would be X amount of like charges. And then in order to do the ritual, you'd have to get like 100 bones worth of charges. Because one, it would be a massive sink to the bones, which I think is really good for the game. I mean, if you look at Vindicta, it's dropping like what, 150 to like what, 250 or something at a time. And I mean, I personally have like over 1 million dragon bones. I mean, I'm not like normal people, I guess. But yeah, I just have such an absurd amount of dragon bones. And the fact that one person could single-handedly like farm that many bones, I think shows that there probably should be a sink for these items, you know, beyond 1. So yeah, I think, you know, these are fine like it is, but I think if there's going to be another tier of communion rituals, that would be a better way to do it rather than this, because it doesn't use enough supplies. It's stupid. And, yeah. So yeah, there is one other thing that I want to talk about in this video before I end the video, and that is going to be the bosses that released with Necromancy. So if we go over here to Raziel, you can see Raziel drops the tier 95 weapons and the tier 95 armor. And if we look at my kill time, I mean, I don't even have the fastest kill time, and this was before the nerf, so it's a little bit slower now, but you're getting about a minute average kill times to be getting these drops. It's ridiculous that it's like this boss is this OP. And then if we look at Vorkath and Zamorgirl, I mean, it drops nothing. And this boss, I mean, I have a 3-minute hard mode kill time, which I think is like decently good. It's not amazing, but it's decently good. And this boss drops trash. Like, it literally doesn't really drop anything at all besides the scale and the spike. And like, the problem with this is Jagex knew that Vorkath was coming out when they released Necromancy, so I don't really see why they put all the drops in one boss's table, especially when it's like the easier boss. To me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And they clearly made Vorkath weapons. Like, this boss seems like it was supposed to drop the weapons from that override, but instead they were like, oh, Necromancy's like really strong, maybe we shouldn't release that. But it just seems very clear to me that, like, Vorkath should have had some of the drops that Raziel had, and they all just got stuffed into Raziel's table for some reason. And, yeah, I don't really know why they would do something like that. It seems like really bad design, and, I mean, frankly, like, you have to be kind of dumb to design the bosses like this, given the fact that they knew that Zamorgirl and Vorkath were coming out. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a stupid decision to do that, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about what I've said in this video? Do you think Necromancy, like, should be retroactively changed a little bit and then to add maybe some drops to existing content in the game? Or, I mean, do you guys think it's fine like this? Because I don't. I think it's ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? If you made it this far in the video, definitely drop a like on it. If you don't like the video, leave a comment or something if you like have any disagreements or whatever. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.